Okay, good morning everybody. It's really good to see so many familiar faces here and some new ones as well. So it's going to be a good couple of days. So I'm going to now talk to you about what we've done in the last 12 months as a partnership. The majority of what I'm going to talk about is actually led by the NBN Secretariat, but everything that we do is done in partnership and in order to try and facilitate the wide variety of network members that we have. Sometimes not all that easy to please everybody, or impossible to please everybody probably, but I think we've actually achieved quite a lot over the last 12 months, and if we just stop and think about that for a second, I think this, we can really be quite proud of what we've done. So, no surprise that the biggest thing that's happened within the NBN community over the last year has been the launch of the NBN Atlas. And that's been, the steering groups have been heavily involved in what goes on the Atlas and what we do with it. We've not only got the main NBN Atlas, but we've also got the rebranded NBN Atlas Scotland. We obviously have the NBN Atlas Wales. We do have a few pages in Welsh, but not that many. But we're working on getting more of the information there in Wales. And we also have the NBN Atlas Isle of Man, which is having a soft launch this month and will be fully launched at the end of the financial year. So we're spreading wider than the UK already, which I think is brilliant to see. But obviously the majority of work has been done on the main NBN Atlas, but that underpins everything else on all of the country atlases as well. When we were told that the funding was going to be withdrawn from the gateway on the 31st of March, it meant we had to launch a little bit earlier than we would have otherwise liked to. But I think we did, there was a lot of work went into this, especially from the team and from Dave Martin from CSIRO in getting that up and running. And we did. We had it up and running on the 1st of April, which was a massive achievement. And also, I mean, it's especially a massive achievement because we went from the JNCC managing the gateway for us, and they had a technical team, through to it being fully the NBN Secretariat, and we were relying on Dave Martin, and we didn't even have him full time to work on it. So this does mean there's been a few issues, some of which are only just now getting sorted, but the main delay in tackling these issues has been due to the lack of technical resources, because we didn't really have any technical expertise within the Secretariat, although we now have a burgeoning NBN technical team. Unfortunately, Sophie's not here today, but Ruben, I'm embarrassing him already. He hasn't even started work with us yet, and I'm putting him up here. He is here and looking to get a good flavour of what we do with the NBN, and hopefully, really push on with the Atlas from now. So, the main issues that there have been with the Atlas up to now are issues with the date ranges, the mix of grid and point occurrences, download fields not really being ideal. We need to improve the species search and various other things, and also the Encyclopedia of Life information. So all of the species information that's on the NBN Atlas at the moment is drawn directly from the Encyclopedia of Life. And we know that there's been some issues in the information that's in there, but putting up species information for every species that's on the Atlas individually is actually quite difficult, but we are looking at how we can improve that. And so hopefully from now, with our technical team in place, it's going to be a speedier process in dealing with these issues. We're going to be doing more feedback about what's happening when people report issues, and hopefully this will mean that people will feel a lot more engaged in the process of getting these issues fixed. So we have so far done the vague date. That is now fixed, hopefully. It is now fixed. You should be able to see that properly. And the rest of the things we're starting to work on. And we do really appreciate your feedback on the Atlas. We've always said this is phase one. There's always going to be teething issues with a new system, especially one as complex as the Atlas. So please do keep engaging with us. Please do tell us what you like, that would be great, but also tell us if things aren't working quite as well as you would like. So one of the big things that happened in conjunction with the NBN Atlas was the transfer of data from the NBN gateway. This was a huge effort from data partners as well as the NBN staff. A lot of you had to put in a lot of work getting permissions to transfer that data, so we really appreciate that. Thank you for that. And we also have to thank JNCC for all their work in processing the transfers over as well. So we've got 719 data sets transferred from the gateway, and that was about 76% of what was publicly available on the gateway. We have also got extra data sets that have been directly uploaded onto the Atlas, and there still are a few that are awaiting for permissions, but that should grow quite quickly. With having the Atlas, we've also made a positive move toward open data. 57% of the data sets on the NBN Atlas are on an open license now, but that is only only 12% of the actual records are open data. The rest of it is shared data, which is a perfectly acceptable license to have. It just means that it can't be used commercially. The massive disparity between the data sets and the records is due to the fact that the BTO records are on a non-commercial license, and there's 150 million of those, so that makes the difference there. And by getting licenses done, it means it's made it easier for us to transfer data to GBIF. We've had a very significant transfer of data this year, about 47 million records, and we're now second only to the USA in terms of the number of records that we contribute to GBIF. However, we could do better. It's only about 27% of the data on the Atlas is shared with GBIF at the moment. We really should be trying to get that up. Another thing that we've done on the Atlas is to get some spatial layers in there. This has taken a lot of work in sourcing the layers and uploading them onto the Atlas. They are habitat layers, landscape, political and administrative layers, and hopefully we will be getting many more of these over the next year or so, but we've made a start. That, as I say, that's taken quite a lot of effort, both from our partners but also from the NBN Secretariat and Dave Martin to get those up there as well. We've also been discussing sensitive species, how those are going to work on the Atlas, and had a workshop in August where we determined what criteria we were going to use for including sensitive species on the NBN Atlas, and that's resulted in a draft of our policy for sensitive species lists, and that's, again, we've got input from experts about what we should be doing with this, and that means that there are sensitive species lists that can be used by the whole of the network. And the policy will be in place by the end of the financial year, and our sensitive species list will be updated accordingly. And we can only do this sort of thing because we have the involvement of the experts within our network. Another big thing that we've worked on in one of the working groups is the verification status. So 3 of the working groups were combined to make this very unwieldy title for the new working group. But we have actually, between us, agreed to adopt standardised verification terms. These will be used in the Atlas. They're already being used in iRecord, and we would really try and encourage people to adopt these terms, but it's obviously not compulsory. But for data going onto the Atlas, these terms will be used. These are the verification status that we've agreed on. If you do use iRecord, you'll find these very familiar because they're the same. And I'm going to talk more in a talk later on this morning, so you've got to listen to me again later, where I'll be going through the verification status work and asking for your opinions on how we display this on the Atlas. Some other things that we've done. I tried really hard to find a fancy word for other things, and I just had a total mental blank, so it is just other things. We've produced guidance on the meaning of non-commercial use, so we've produced guidance on historic data, and those have come through the steering groups that we have for the NBN Atlas and the country atlases. We're heavily involved in the SBIF review, but I'm not going to say anything about that yet because I don't want to spoil Ellen's talk because she's coming on directly after me. We've been trying to widen the reach of the NBN and the word I'm looking for, and people widen who knows about us. So this year I was one of the judges on the Syria Awards. Syria stands for Construction Industry Research and Information Association, and it was really good. They had around 100 nominations for the awards over various different categories, and there was some really good work being done there. And I think it's really important that we try and expand the NBN's reach so that people in the construction industries know more about what we are, what we do, and how you all can help them to fulfill their biodiversity requirements. We also had a day that was Nottingham in Parliament, which is basically where lots of organisations from Nottingham came down to London for the day. We had a bio-bits out in the gardens next to the Houses of Parliament, ably helped by the Natural History Museum's Species ID course, who will be, again, talking to you later today. And that was really good. We had a panel discussion with the Lords and some MPs in the House of Lords that day. And again, it's just all about trying to widen the range of people that know about the partnership and all of the good work that everyone does. We also have the NBN Awards, which are obviously going to be given out this evening. We've had 53 nominations this year, which is a significant increase on the years before. And we've also had some brilliant nominations. A lot of work has been going on in the partnership, but also a lot of work was put into some of those nominations. We've also had some recognition for the Atlas. So we were the Scotland Nature Awards, we were nominated for that, and also we got highly commended in the SIEM Awards as well. So people are beginning to see the Atlas and take note of what it's doing. So, for the next 12 months, what are we going to do? In terms of the NBN Atlas, this is still going to take up a lot of our time, and we've still got a lot to do. As I've always said, this is just the first phase. We're going to be constantly improving the Atlas and constantly looking for ways that we can add functionality that people want. So the next thing that's going to happen, probably in terms of any big development, is the access to the sensitive species data. People will be able to apply for a permission to access that data through the Atlas. We're going to be holding stakeholder workshops. So we kind of got one of those this afternoon if you're signed up to that workshop. But in the new year, we're going to be looking to bring people together to determine what extra functionality we might want to put on the Atlas. We're working on having automated uploads from iRecord, and once we've got that, then hopefully we'll be able to look at automated uploads from other organisations too. We want to increase the number of habitat, spatial and environmental layers, and we're also going to look at BioCollect and Merit, which are two add-ons that the Atlas of Living Australia have, and they allow for more structured data and also for support for citizen science and that sort of thing. So there's lots going on still with the Atlas, and we're going to look at what comes out of the stakeholder workshops and prioritise those as well. In terms of other things that are going to happen in the next 12 months, we're going to be looking at Record Cleaner, what we can do to update that, if it's still relevant, if it's still needed, and how, if it is, and then how we get that to integrate well with the Atlas. There's going to be a board governance restructure, which Michael mentioned earlier. Please come to the AGM to hear more about that. We're looking at developing a strategy for mobilising historic data, and we're also going to be looking at other online recording systems. And we're also going to be, consultants portal's been up and running for a couple of years, but we haven't done any development on it lately, so we're going to pick that back up again. And as I said before, you know, anything that you have, any feedback that you have, any suggestions that you have, we really want to hear those for you. We really want the NBN to be working properly as a network and for us to be as involved as possible with the two-way flow going to and from the members and to us. And finally, I think we've come a really long way in the last 12 months. There is so much more that we can do, but we can only really do that, we can only move ahead if we have people who are engaged, proactive, and you know, we're really talking about what the network needs. And strengthening our partnerships is the best way for us to continue to achieve and improve the benefit of the network as a whole. So, basically, here's to the next 12 months. Let's see what we can achieve now.